planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive is to leave with us.
When we think to ourselves, why do people join cults? We imagine individuals that are unintelligent, weak, gullible, desperate, or mentally unstable. But psychology offers us a very different explanation. Many cult members were once intelligent, socially capable, and psychologically healthy people. In this video, I'll examine cult recruitment as a psychological process in which ordinary individuals are gradually drawn in by the exploitation of predictable human needs and dangerously powerful psychological techniques. Firstly, what is a cult? In the APA Dictionary of Psychology, cult is defined as a religious or quasi-religious group characterized by unusual or atypical beliefs, seclusion from the outside world, and an authoritarian structure. Cults tend to be highly cohesive, well-organized, and secretive, and hostile to non-members. However, the word cult can have different meaning depending on the context. A cult doesn't have to be religious, whether that be business or political or lifestyle and therapy based. These cults would be defined as a group or movement that uses manipulative tactics to control and exploit its members. To understand how cults recruit, we must first understand who is the most vulnerable to recruitment and who cults target. Humans have inherent needs that must be met to have a fulfilling life. So cults tend to target people who have strong desire for these needs, meaning people who are in a vulnerable time in their lives. This could mean people who are unhappy and are looking to belong and find meaning, like teenage runaways, addicts, abuse survivors, those who have lost someone, and those who suffer from insecurity, mental health issues, or anyone who feels isolated. On the less extreme side, this could just mean people who are in a transition in their life, like people starting college or moving to a new town. So, what are these needs that we have? One of the most important needs is the need for belonging. According to Boymeister and Leary's need to belong theory, humans are motivated to form strong, stable interpersonal relationships. When this need is not met, like during transitions such as starting college, experiencing loss, or feeling socially isolated, individuals become more receptive to groups that offer immediate acceptance. Another need is the need for meaning and purpose. Many people that join cults are looking to find the meaning of life and their purpose. Viktor Frankl's work on meaning from his book Man's Search for Meaning suggests that people are psychologically driven to seek significance in their lives, particularly during times of distress. Cults often frame themselves as having all the answers to life's biggest questions and promise personal fulfillment, providing a sense of mental relief to recruits now that they have the answers. And lastly is the desire for change and growth. According to the self-determination theory, people seek growth, autonomy, and competence. When people feel stuck, dissatisfied, or overwhelmed in their lives, the promise of transformation becomes especially appealing. Cult recruiters often display their group as a path to self-fulfillment, encouraging individuals to believe that change is not only possible, but is guaranteed. Where does cult recruitment happen? It can happen essentially anywhere ordinary and non-threatening, where suspicion is low and social interaction is natural. This could be libraries, churches, streets, grocery stores, classrooms, college campuses, at your front door, parties, or social media. Now, what are the steps that cult leaders or members take to recruit someone? We'll call this the cult recruitment process. Cult recruitment unfolds gradually through 6 key steps to get full commitment to the cult. These steps are initial contact and first meeting, love bombing, fear and guilt, isolation, indoctrination, and finally obedience and authority. The first step is initial contact, where recruiters first talk to the person they are attempting to recruit. This usually begins in an ordinary, low-pressure environment, such as a casual conversation or a social media interaction. At this stage, recruiters focus on being friendly, attentive, and seeming genuinely interested in the person that they are attempting to recruit. They may introduce themselves, ask personal questions, and mirror shared interests or values. These conversations include finding a purpose in life, personal growth, and simply trying to learn more about the recruit. Psychologically, this helps establish trust and lower defenses. The recruiter will often invite the possible recruit to a group activity like seminars, book clubs, parties, or a church. The first group meeting often includes very welcoming, energetic, and passionate people, as well as more conversations centered on self fulfillment and life's purpose. The next step, an extremely crucial tactic used in these early stages, is love bombing. Once a connection is established, the recruit is suddenly overwhelmed with attention, praise, and validation. Cult members may express excitement about meeting them, praise their personality, or suggest that they're uniquely special or important. This intense positivity fulfills the human need for belonging and approval. Psychologically, love bombing acts as a positive reinforcement, creating a strong emotional dependency and association between the cult and positive feelings of acceptance, safety, praise, and purpose. The recruit will start to feel indebted to the group, feeling they owe them the same treatment, leading to the next step of fear and guilt. Recruits may begin to feel guilty for questioning the group, receiving praise, or not being as committed as others are. The cult will start to expose recruits to messages suggesting that the outside world is dangerous, corrupt, or harmful. The normative social influence theory suggests that now the recruit will feel pressure to conform to the group's expectations in order to be accepted out of fear, even if they privately disagree with the cult so far. This is driven by our fundamental human need for social approval and belonging. Fear and guilt work together to weaken confidence and increase their emotional reliance on the group.
In fact, it becomes more barbaric, more quick to condemn the rest of the world, quick to kill the rest of the world that does not think as it thinks.
The next step is isolation. Gradually, recruits are encouraged or pressured to spend less time with family, friends, and outside resources. This may be framed as avoiding negative people, distractions, or information that may interfere with the cult's goals. This is done to increase recruits' dependence on the cult, solidifying its power over members to manipulate their beliefs and behaviors without any external influences. This creates what's called an echo chamber, where ideas are constantly reinforced and rarely challenged. Psychologically, echo chambers are powerful because they limit critical thinking and make the cult's beliefs feel like the only reasonable perspective. The cult becomes the only source of truth and identity. This also limits members' access to support systems, making it harder for members to seek help if they wish to leave. This then leads to the next step, indoctrination, where the group's beliefs are repeatedly reinforced and normalized. Through meetings, teachings, rituals, and repetitive messaging, recruits are encouraged to adopt the group's worldview as their own, while critical thinking is discouraged. It is heavily discouraged for recruits to question these beliefs, as they will be publicly punished in front of other members. This is where members start to develop an us versus them mentality, viewing those outside the group as enemies, threats, or as ignorant.
My father is not a human father. My father is a member of the evolutionary level above human, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven.
Finally, obedience and authority. At this point, the leadership structure is viewed as unquestionable, and obedience becomes framed as morally right and necessary. This closely reflects Stanley Milgram's theory of obedience, which demonstrated that ordinary people are willing to follow authority figures even when doing so conflicts with their personal values. In cults, the leader's perceived legitimacy, confidence, and claims to access higher knowledge encourages members to surrender their own judgment.
I must admit that I am here again, that I am the return of the son of my father.
This is where members may start to give up personal autonomy, finances, relationships, or future plans. The recruits are led to believe they can now make a voluntary decision to fully commit to the group, but this choice is made by the cult's influence and all the psychological breakdown done in advance. The recruit is now essentially stuck in the cult, having made significant emotional, social, and psychological investments, making leaving feel impossible. Now that we know how cults recruit, we can protect ourselves in the future. And it all starts with awareness. Recognizing these tactics helps people identify manipulation early on. Staying connected to friends, family, and diverse perspectives and question groups that discourage doubt reduces our vulnerability and preserves independent thinking.